And news just coming in, R.R. Patil, the former Home Minister of Maharashtra, has passed away. R.R. Patil was 57 years old. He was on life support system. He's Maharashtra's former Deputy Chief Minister and Home Minister of Maharashtra. He had been hospitalized. R.R. Patil was on life support system. Kamlesh Sutar now joins me for more on this story. Pankaj Upadhyay also tracking that story. Kamlesh, what more can you tell us?
Gaurav, R.R. Patil was undergoing his treatment for oral cancer for more than last 2 months at the Bridge Candy Hospital initially, and then was shifted to the Lilavati Hospital. Initially, though he was responding to the treatment, but cancer was diagnosed at a very advanced stage. He was undergoing chemotherapy for last 2 months, but since it was detected in an advanced stage, the doctors had initially said it's going to be difficult for him to cope up with that. But still, the family was keeping its hoping against the hope. The family was keeping its hope alive. Treatment was going on, but for last few days his conditions deteriorated. In the meanwhile, a month and a half before, he also suffered cardiac complications after the operation. So it was getting complicated for R.R. Patil, and for last few days he was on life support. Last few hours his condition started deteriorating, and it led to multiple organ failure. This morning, early this morning, his kidneys stopped functioning, and after that, his other vital parameters dropped beyond any point of repair. So the doctors had waited; they were still keeping hope. But finally, the official announcement came in later this afternoon that R.R. Patil, the former Home Minister, is no more.
In fact, people in Anjani, Kamlesh, his hometown, they were holding the Maha Mrityunjay Mantra Jap for his recovery. But doctors had given up hope, and the family was now actually hoping that there would be a miracle and he could survive.
Well, yes, the family was keeping its fingers crossed for last so many days. But we've been speaking to doctors and his close associates who were accompanying him in the hospital for last few days. And in fact, early this morning, Gaurav, I spoke to his close associate, and then only there was a hint that his health conditions have deteriorated at a point which is beyond repair. And the source had told me that the news might come in this afternoon, because it is any time soon. There is no scope for R.R. Patil to resurrect or to revive him through medications. He was not responding to the treatment, and he was already on a ventilator support. His conditions are deteriorated. He was already in ICU for more than a month now. R.R. Patil was being visited by several of his party workers. As you mentioned, that in Anjani, his local village in Tasgaon, the constituency which he represents, they were also coming to meet him in large numbers. But after he got infected, he got some infections due to frequent visitors who were shifted to an isolated room. But his conditions, as I said, condition kept deteriorating, and today finally the official announcement was made.
In fact, in Tasgaon, in Sangli, where he hailed from, he was a very popular face, Kamlesh, this NCP leader. He was admitted recently to Lilavati Hospital for treatment. How will he be remembered in Maharashtra? Whether it was his actions when it came to the bar girls, or whether the statement that came post 26/11, he was at one point of time the all-powerful NCP Maharashtra Home Minister.
Well, yes, Gaurav, R.R. Patil is one of the very few politicians who have, in fact, a fairy tale rise in politics from rags to riches. R.R. Patil had a very difficult childhood. He, in fact, completed his school studies working as a daily wage laborer. Then he went on to college, completed his law degree, went on to become a lawyer. Initially with the Congress, working with former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Vasantdada Patil, a very close associate of Vasantdada Patil. And then after the NCP was formed, he worked closely with Sharad Pawar, a good orator, known to link up with public, known to be close to the people of his constituency, knowing well the issues of rural Maharashtra, be it agricultural issues or be it cooperatives. R.R. Patil would be remembered as a good orator from the party, and also his stint as the Home Minister of Maharashtra will certainly be remembered. His most controversial and most talked about decision being the decision to ban dance bars in Maharashtra. It was challenged time and again in the courts of law, but being the Home Minister of the party, he was also entrusted the responsibility of the state president of the NCP.
Stay with me for a moment, Kamlesh. I also want to bring in our consulting editor, Rajdeep Sardesai. Rajdeep, how will R.R. Patil be remembered?
Well, there are two ways to look at it. One is certainly by his constituents in Sangli. He will be remembered as a leader with a mass touch. Someone who had come up from the grassroots and someone who in that sense had a close connection with the people of his constituency, kept winning election after election. In the context of Mumbai and in the larger context of administration, he will perhaps be remembered more in the context of his controversial term as Home Minister of Maharashtra, particularly in the aftermath of the attacks in Mumbai, the terror attack in Mumbai. R.R. Patil was seen as a bit of a misfit and someone who was not able to understand the depth of the challenge that terrorism was posing Mumbai, and his famous statement कि बड़े-बड़े शहरों में छोटी-छोटी बातें होती है was in some ways something that will haunt him forever. Despite that, though, he did become Home Minister of Maharashtra again, and it perhaps reflects the fact that within the NCP he was seen as a seasoned politician, but within the media, particularly the English language media, saw R.R. Patil very differently to the way the regional media saw him. I think R.R. Patil, as I said, will be remembered as a grassroots politician by his constituents. By the NCP, he will be remembered as one of their mass leaders. But by the elite and by the English-speaking media, he will be remembered as a Home Minister and a Deputy Chief Minister who was out of depth in the face of the challenge that confronted Mumbai and Maharashtra at the time. But I would like to make one other point. He was also seen as someone who was relatively incorruptible. At a time when the NCP itself had an image of corruption, one person within the NCP leadership against whom there was no stain of corruption was R.R. Patil. I don't think that one could ever make an allegation that R.R. Patil had been involved in corruption. And I think that in itself made him an important leader at a time when the NCP was facing a credibility crisis. And the NCP in particular will miss R.R. Patil because he was, as I said, Sharad Pawar's man Friday in a way in the context of Western Maharashtra politics.
And that, the kind of prayers, Rajdeep, that were happening for the past several days, the Mahamrityunjay Jap, the visits to various seers in Sangli, that seems to indicate how popular he remained till the end in Sangli.
Absolutely, Gaurav. He was an extremely popular leader at the local level, and a proof of that was the manner in which even when the NCP's popularity was down in the last elections in October, R.R. Patil went and won his seat comfortably. And I think it reflects how there are a number of leaders that the NCP does have who have that strong grassroots connect. R.R. Patil is among those leaders, and that is the reason why even after he quit as Home Minister, he came back as in that same post in 2009. It revealed the absence of options that the NCP had, and it also revealed that R.R. Patil was seen very differently in political circles to the way perhaps the media perceived him. And he dies at a relatively young age and leaves behind a rather big void in the NCP at a time when the NCP itself is struggling, as I said, with a credibility crisis.
Kamlesh, and that explains the difference in perception. Here was a man who rose from the masses, and as you pointed out, it was a fairy tale story how a man from Sangli became so powerful. He's seen so differently in Mumbai and seen so differently in Sangli.
Patil as a leader, there are two different R.R. Patils that are seen in context, as Rajiv was mentioning. R.R. Patil, the leader, and R.R. Patil, the administrator. Many had questions about R.R. Patil being an able administrator, being trusted with an important portfolio like the Home Department in Maharashtra. Out of the 3 terms the NCP was in power, he was entrusted the responsibility several times of being the Home Minister. And it was this period that the city faced the maximum of terror threats and terror attacks, be it the Ghatkopar blast, Mulund blast, or the 7611 terror attack, the Zaveri Bazar blast, or the twin or the train blast. Almost all the attacks took place during during R.R. Patil's tenure, and that is why he was always seen as a failure as the Home Minister, someone who could not handle the responsibility of being the Home Minister. But on the other side, R.R. Patil as a leader, as a mass leader who always connected with the people, R.R. Patil was one of the most the most preferred orators by the party. He was the most in demand when elections came in. He was the one who was always preferred by candidates. He should come and campaign in their constituencies. Someone who always, when we have seen the assembly sessions, the legislative assembly sessions in Maharashtra, R.R. Patil speak on different issues. That's something which even journalists would look up to. The points he used to raise, the way he used to tackle other issues, and the way he used to address the House was something which even journalists used to admire. But R.R. Patil was always into controversies, which always posed him as someone who has supported moral policing, be it supporting an officer like Doble who cracked against the nightlife in Mumbai. R.R. Patil was one who stood behind him at that point in time. But the controversies like banning the dance bar, or even the statements of bade shehron mein choti choti baatein hoti rehti after the 26/11 terror attack was something which had marred his career. He had to resign after the 26/11 terror attack. But so much was his impact on the party, or the need of the party, that Sharad Pawar had to entrust the responsibility into him again. After that, he was again made the deputy, again a deputy chief minister, and also the home minister. So that was the kind of aura in his party, the kind of command in his party. He was one of the few leaders who came from the grassroots and knew the issues of Maharashtra. So certainly not only the NCP, but also in political circles of Maharashtra, a good politician would be missed.
Kamlesh Sutar, for the moment, many thanks for joining me.